Good afternoon, Chaos. This is Sekelatos, your friendly Legion's leader here, ready to do another review, this time for our friend Talazar in Legacy of Chaos. Now, Talazar has been waiting patiently for this review. I told him I would get it done before territory battles came out, but oh my gosh, this last month has been crazy busy. But here I am, ready to look it over and kind of give Talazar some of the pointers and things that I've seen that could help, and see if I can help him improve his arena rank, maybe a couple of big teams that he could use in the heroic tank raid, as well as give him some tips on territory battles. Now, I know it's a tall order and there's a lot of stuff here, so let's go ahead and jump right in and see what we can do. So we'll start with the arena squad. Talazar is running a Rex lead, a Wedge and Biggs combo with Lando and Stormtrooper Han. Now, 6 months to a year ago, this would have been probably a top 50, maybe even top 20 team. Unfortunately, the meta has shifted to the point where you can't completely burst through everything, so you really need to get a stronger tank to hold your team together, and Lando's AoE damage isn't killing people fast enough, so we may need to find somebody to replace him. And we'll look through your roster, see what you've got, see what we can do to beef up your squad, give it a little more meatiness to them, ability to take some hits, and that should skyrocket you in the ranks of arena. So let's look in here first, and knowing that Stormtrooper Han is a great tank for the guys that you have, however, I don't know that they can carry you much into the top 100, if into the top 100 at all. So I looked through your roster to see what other tanks you have, and you don't really have many like beefy taunting tanks. Looking mainly for things like Sunfac, Shore Trooper, or even Baze Malbus, possibly Old Ben, and even Kenan Jarrus if you were had him geared. So any of those would be a good option. K2SO could work, but your Shore Trooper does not have great synergy with the rest of the guys, so I don't know that I would use Shore Trooper, though he would be a decent stopgap now because of that auto taunt, and he has such a high health and protection pool that he might be good to swap in for Stormtrooper Han. He will not provide the turn meter that he does, but he will provide some crit immunity, an auto taunt, so all your guys can actually survive to do their stuff, and maybe even move into that. But eventually you will want to replace your Shore Trooper, like I said, with either K2SO, Kenan Jarrus, Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Baze Malbus. Now your Baze is only 4-star, so it would take a lot more work to get him, but Old Ben, Kenan Jarrus, and K2SO are all good, solid tank options for you. I might be tempted to say Kenan Jarrus would be the best option, solely because your current team has no dispellers, and Kenan Jarrus can dispel. I could be wrong. Wedge and Biggs, no, they don't have a dispel. Neither does Lando. So yeah, your weakness is in your dispels. So while Baze does offer good dispels, again, as only a 4-star, he'll be way behind Kenan Jarrus or Obi-Wan. So Kenan Jarrus is probably your best bet for a tank in your current setup. I know he's a pain in the butt to gear. The next gear level, he's going to need a couple stun guns, so he's going to be, like I said, a real pain to gear, but he's totally worth it. He is a solid tank in the Rebel faction. He's a great tank in the Phoenix faction, and he can provide a lot of support for you. Now, if you do switch him, and even if you don't switch Ken and Jarrus in, I'd strongly recommend subbing somebody in for Lando Calrissian. Okay, Lando, like I said, is great at the AoE damage, but the state of the game now, you really need to be able to focus your damage on 1 or 2 targets. And Lando Calrissian does not do that. I remember you saying you were leaning towards getting your Zeta on R2-D2. I think that would be a great option. And really, I think he's a great person to bring in for Lando Calrissian. So you would run a Rex lead with Wedge and Biggs Darklighter, R2-D2, and Ken and Jarrus. It is kind of squishy. It definitely wouldn't bring you into the top 50, but I'm pretty sure you could work it back into the top 100 so long as you got solid mods. So just to kind of say that again, with the current group or the current characters you have, I would probably stick with a Rex lead, possibly a Wedge lead, but I think Rex might work better for you. So Rex, Wedge, and Biggs. Switch out R2-D2 for Lando Calrissian once you gear up R2 a little bit, especially if you throw that Zeta on Number Crunch. And then your tank, you're going to want to switch out Stormtrooper Han for somebody that's a little beefier. Ken and Jarrus is not a bad choice. His only weakness there is he can't auto-taunt. So K2SO could be a better option. But again, you really should look into getting a Dispel. So Ken and Jarrus really fills that role. And then as you move forward, maybe gear up the Baze Malbus to be your tank. And possibly even gearing Princess Leia or Raid Han to replace Biggs Darklighter. So a few things to help you out there on your arena team. And if you do that, a couple of mod suggestions. One, your Captain Rex. Potency is not a bad idea, but health and crit chance, not as important. Because Rex's purpose is not to do damage. I mean, if he's going to do damage, it's going to come from Subdue, which is a percentage of the health of the target based attack. It has nothing to do with Rex's stats. So you want to get him as fast as possible while getting his tenacity as high as possible. So ideally you want his speed to be 230, 240, 250. Just get all of your highest speed mods and put them on Rex. Even better if they have tenacity. So a solid high-end Rex is going to have a speed over 230, as well as having a tenacity of 75 to 80%. So strongly recommend you make those changes to your Rex. I noticed your Jawas are weak, but they might actually be your first target for gearing, because the crit damage mods that they give you are super important for all of your damage dealers. Wedge, Biggs, Lando, Leia, Ahsoka Tano, Rey, like any Raid Han, any of these damage dealers, you're going to want to have a crit damage set. So you really want to focus on probably your Jawas first to make sure that you can start farming those mods that you need, the crit damage mods. So there's that. Now moving away from your arena team, and your Wedge and Biggs, pump them up with as much crit damage and crit chance as you can. I mean, they don't need a ton of crit chance, just because their native crit is pretty high. So you might want to run like an offense set and maybe a crit chance set. And if you do swap out R2-D2, you're going to want him to be probably your second fastest character behind Rex. So get him plenty of speed and potency so that his burning dot lands and his electroshock prod actually stuns. So, yeah, speed up Rex and R2-D2, gear Ken and Jarvis to come in as a tank for Stormtrooper Han, and mod Wedge and Biggs for offense and crit chance if you don't have crit damage mods. And that's that. I noticed you were working on your clones, but I would honestly, I would say don't even worry about them for a while, because you're gonna have a ton of other stuff that you need to get done instead. Like the clone sergeant takes forever to grind out, and getting the shards for Commander Cody and Clone Trooper Echo are gonna cost you shards that you would rather spend on gear right now. So I wouldn't worry about the clones. And your resistance is kind of in the same boat. The resistance trooper and the Finn take a while. Finn is actually not too bad, but the resistance trooper can be. Yeah, the resistance trooper can be, only because he's at 3-star right now. So I honestly wouldn't even worry about continuing to gear up your resistance too much. As far as teams for territory battles go, I would honestly stick with your Wigs and Lando with Stormtrooper Han, and pair those four with either the Hoth Soldier or Hoth Rebel Scout for those missions where you need them. Because the straight up damage that those three do can be super beneficial, and your Stormtrooper Han will be strong enough to carry you through probably phase 4, as long as you keep sustaining the damage from your Wedge, Biggs, and Lando. The next group I would put together would be another, well, not rebel group, it's just an all-around group. And this one would be with a Rex lead, Princess Leia, K2SO, R2-D2, Farm Boy Luke, and Ezra Bridger. I say that again, you would want to have a Rex lead with Princess Leia, K2SO, R2-D2, Farm Boy Luke, and Ezra Bridger. Okay, now you might think there are some better DPS to put there than Ezra, but I'm gonna tell you no. Ezra is extremely powerful. He can pack quite the punch once he gets to gear 10 or so. So you're gonna want to keep him in this group, because he and Leia can tackle just about anything that can be thrown at them, because that group I listed 6 people. Yes, either Farm Boy Luke or Ezra, whichever you feel like using at the time. Yeah. So Rex lead, Princess Leia, K2SO, R2-D2, and either Farm Boy Luke or Ezra Bridger. A third light side group that I found for you that could be super useful in arena or territory battles is a Zeta Qui-Gon Jinn lead with Jedi Knight Anakin, Grandmaster Yoda, a Ahsoka Tano, and Kanan Jarrus. So really your top 4 Jedi plus Kanan Jarrus. They will serve you quite well, and they do have a lot of good things to bring in. So using them could really help your territory battles and really help you beat those combat missions. So again, those territory groups I have are Wedge Antilles lead with Biggs Darklighter, Lando Calrissian, Stormtrooper Han, and one of the Hoth brothers. Your second territory battle group would be a Captain Rex lead with Princess Leia, K2SO, R2-D2, and Farm Boy Luke or Ezra Bridger. And the third group will be an all Jedi group in the guise of Qui-Gon Jinn, Grandmaster Yoda, Jedi Knight Anakin, Ahsoka Tano, and Kanan Jarrus. Now that's a lot of guys to be working on, and honestly, I'd probably try and either just take one and gear him to the max before you start working on the next one, or maybe try and gear them all about the same. Like get them all to gear 10, then get them all to gear 11. Whichever works best for you. I don't know which is the best because I tend to focus on one toon until he's maxed out. But that's just personal preference. You might prefer to do it differently. So aside from gearing those characters that I mentioned, you also want to continue to farm your Phoenix Squadron. Throw old Ben into your favorites so you can throw gear at him when it's needed. And also want to work on some more Rogue One characters. You may not necessarily need to get them stars, but they do need some gear. I see Jyn Erso, Cassian, K2SO. So you've got some of the characters. It's just a matter of building them up the way you need to. And again, I said it a few minutes ago, get your Jawas. Those would be the absolute highest priority, is the Jawas, so that when you can afford to spend the energy on mods, you can spend it and get the best mods that are there, rather than just the 4-dot mods that, well, will tend to let you down whenever you're using them. So those are the changes that I would make, and that's what I'd recommend for you, Talazar. That's going to give you the most bang for your buck as far as farming gear and shards go. Be gearing up, again, Wedge Antilles, Lando Calrissian, Biggs Darklighter, Kanan Jarrus, and R2-D2 for your arena squad, though you might want to wait till R2-D2 and Kanan Jarrus get a little bit more geared. A couple of territory battle teams for you are Wedge Antilles, Biggs Darklighter, Stormtrooper Han, and one of the Hoth brothers. Captain Rex with Princess Leia, K2SO, R2-D2, and either Farm Boy Luke or Ezra Bridger. And then last, but surely not least, a Qui-Gon Jinn led Jedi team with Jedi Anakin, Yoda, Ahsoka Tano, and Kanan Jarrus, with your character farming sites set on the Jawas with Phoenix Squad, Old Ben, and Rogue One. And then also the suggestions I made with your mods for your arena team. Hopefully you can find those ones that you need, put it together, and everything will be wonderful. Okay, with that, Chaos, this is Kelatos signing off, saying goodbye and good luck, ladies and gentlemen.